Hello, hello, hello. It's Tuesday night, man, and y'all know what time it is. Time for the 95 North Sports Machine. My homie Chris, my homie Berto, and we have a special guest tonight, Mr. Howard University himself, Mr. Steve Wyche, man.
You
and
know,
trust me, when I tell y'all we gonna lay down the gauntlet tonight, that's exactly what we about to do. Because trust me, we known for putting people on the hot seat. But before we get started, man, y'all know what time it is, man. Time to tell everybody what's up, man.
Hey, man, we're so happy to be back. It's been a little bit, man. Bleacher Report's been keeping me busy and life itself, but I'm glad to be joining back in this space. Can't thank Steve Wyche enough, man, for taking the time out of his busy schedule to come and rock with us, man. We definitely appreciate it. Oh, man, I'm over here fanboy, man, because, I look up your work, man. I followed you for so many years, always admired your work, man, and it's a pleasure and an honor to, share the screen with you, man. So thank you so much.
Thank you for real, man. It's all about uplifting, and I just love seeing you brothers do your thing, man. So thank you for having me on.
Oh man, that means everything. That means everything coming from you, sir. Just in the space that you're in, and you see different people doing this job all the time, and you've been doing it for so long. And hey, we're just happy to have you on here. Again, happy to have Berto on. Like he said, Bleacher Report been keeping him busy. Smee and Smooth Smitty been keeping it hot and hold it down. So
that's for sure.
We just ready to get into this Falcons talk, man. And so let's get into it, man. It's not wasting any more time.
Without further ado, man, OTAs is coming to a wrap for the Atlanta Falcons, and roll call was at 100%, and that's something that you love to see. Although it is mandatory, but you'd like to see guys like Grady Jarrett, getting into the fold, getting himself fit and ready for this 2024. Our 6th-round pick, Chase McClellan out of Alabama, he's working on the side, trying to get himself ready, trying to edge his foot in the squad, and possibly earn a roster spot. But there's a lot of talk centralized around Bijan Robinson and Drake London. Now, we know that Drake London's play is going to be elevated. We finally got a competent quarterback back there with Kirko Cousins there throwing the dimes now. But Bijan Robinson, Coach Raheem Morris was quoted saying, we have to get the ball to Bijan Robinson, as early and as often as possible. Steve, I ask you, is that a good thing for this Falcons offense and for second-year running back Bijan Robinson to have that much pressure or that much expectation thrown on him already? Now, let's remind the folks also, there's a two-headed monster in Atlanta, and that other monster is Tyler Algier. Another guy who's a former 1,000-yard back, actually broke Willie Andrews' record with 1,036 yards rushing. So
right.
to all of this, what do you take? What is your thought on Bijan Robinson being fed the rock as much in 2024?
Well, look, I mean, why not? You drafted him high. See, this is the thing, that the previous 3 draft picks are what people like to say are non-priority positions when you're drafting that high, right? You take a wide receiver, a tight end, and a running back. Usually your priority draft picks, and you're drafting as high as they were, they're all top 8 picks, are quarterbacks, left tackles, corners, and edge rushers, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're going to get these skill players who have not been maximized in the first years of their careers, maximize them. That's why there was a coaching change, right? You've got – right, so you have a head coach – coming in, and Raheem Morris, who comes from the Sean McVay crew, right? He was on Washington, or it wasn't just Sean McVay, but it was Mike McDaniel. It was Kyle Shanahan, right? So he's taking some things from that and putting it into his overall system. He's bringing over Zach Robinson from the Rams, right? So they had Kyron Williams last year, running back, who was used in certain ways. But I think it's very true what you're Bijan saying and other people. Like, he fits more of the Christian McCaffrey mold, right? Mm-hmm. He fits more of the Raheem Mostert mold in terms of he's a breakaway hitter. If you want to get him 18 to 20 touches a game, only 10 have to come from handoffs. 8 to 10 can come in the passing game, depending on what defenses are trying to do. And the one thing you're going to see Zach Robinson do, and this is all McVay, Kevin O'Connell up in Minnesota where Kirk Cousins played, Mike McDaniel, is by alignment. right? By pre-snap alignment, it will help tell Kirk Cousins where to go. And I will never forget this. Back when Richard Sherman was with the Seahawks and Kyle was with the Falcons and Kyle was with some other teams running OC, he said Kyle Shanahan, by his pre-snap alignment, fully understands the opponent's defensive principles and the integrity of what they're trying to do, and he automatically puts pressure on you. So when you've got a movable chip like Bijan Robinson, whether he's in a single back, whether he's flanked, Raheem Morris even told me he's going to dot the I. When's the last time you've really seen the Falcons go 21 or 22 personnel, right, where they've got a fullback and a tailback?
Yeah, been a while.
But they are going to do things to stress the opponent's defense, to make them break integrity and allow for the explosive play. Who's their big hitter? Bijan Robinson. So that's the guy. I don't think every week he's going to be the guy, but I think he's going to be put in position to, instead of being set up to make a 5-yard play, being put in position as to where he can turn that into a 15 or 20-yard play.
And I'm glad you brought that point up.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm glad you brought that point up. Moving Bijan around. What about this guy named Kyle Pitts, who we're so hyped about? He's coming back 100%, and I think this year we could see him at his rookie form. What's your thoughts on Kyle Pitts going into this season, being 100% with a quarterback that can actually get him the football?
Yeah, and a play caller, and this is nothing against Arthur Smith. I thought Arthur Smith was a good coach. Offensively, they just turned the ball over too much in the red zone, right? So I think now you have a play caller who's coming from a scheme. Once again, George Kittle, T.J. Hawkinson, right? These are tight ends now. Kyle Pitts is not going to do what Kittle does in the run game. Kittle is a third tackle. He's a great blocker, but he's somebody who can flex, somebody who can motion and do some things to give you the same looks in the run game as you can in the passing game, right? So that's what they're going to do with Pitts, and they're going to free him up. And T.J. Hawkinson, remember what he did last year, especially when Justin Jefferson was out up in Minnesota, the numbers he put up with Cousins. So Cousins likes to hit the tight end. He was very used to it last year before he got hurt. Right. So, this is something where it's going to be up to Zach Robinson to figure out what to do with him, because Zach, coming from the Rams, the tight end really wasn't a factor in their passing game. So this is, again, where he's going to have to confab with Kirk and say, okay, we want to use him like T.J. Hawkinson. What are some of the ways you like to use him? And that's where having a veteran quarterback can work, in simpatico with the play caller and do some things to really manipulate the strengths of Kyle Pitts.
Right. We've seen what Matt Ryan did with him in his rookie season, and Kyle Pitts is more of a veteran, seeing more defenses, more schemes. So he'll be fine, I believe, going along with Kirk Cousins. But I have a question, just with all this going around, with all these different, skill players' names going around, is Tyler Algiers being forgotten in this offense? Because he's the bully in the wrecking ball of the two running backs, and I feel like defenses are not going to want to see him, especially if the Falcons have a lead in the fourth quarter. You just run it down their throats with Ty Bully.
Okay, so now this is where I want you guys to think about what the Saints used to do. I know Falcons fans don't want to hear about the Saints, but think about the days when they had Pierre Thomas, right? Pierre Thomas, to me, was the best screen receiver running back of his era, right? So you had someone you could do a lot of things with him. So he was kind of their first halfback. And it's kind of what the 49ers do with Christian McCaffrey, right? Christian McCaffrey gets a lot of first half touches, and they would bring in Elijah Mitchell in the third quarter, and he would just blow, soften the defense after they're kind of sitting back, kind of playing like this to stop McCaffrey. And then they kept bringing McCaffrey back in to close things out. So I think this is where Tyler Algier, again, depending on the opponent, like there's going to be some games where he's going to get 20 touches, right? He's also in the screen game. Let's not forget about that. And like I said, if Raheem's talking about Bijan dotting the I, or why can't they do some things with Kirk maybe in a pistol formation where Bijan is offset and Tyler's behind him, right? There's all kinds of things you can do when you have these types of skilled players, especially when you've got a Drake London who they're building their receiving game and their passing game around. You've got Rondale Moore. Like Rondale Moore is a dude, when they got him, I'm like, now this is a chip. Like this is a chip.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some things where like him and Bijan are in the backfield together. Like you motion one of them, like, who we got? The nickel's going to be on him. Is it going to be a safety? Is it going to be a linebacker? Because none of them are holding those two.
Very Taylor Gabriel-esque.
What about the other one? They're both open field hitters. So it's intriguing how they built this receiving core. Because I would throw Bijan in there in that type of role as well. It's a much smaller receiving core than we saw last year. So it is all about this offense, all about getting the hands of the playmakers, letting them make a defender miss, and then go.
Man, this is beautiful. So this springboards us right into our next question that I have for you with this hot and heavy Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier talk. You know, the NFL has seen in its history 7 tandems run 2,000 yards dating back to 2019 in a Greg Roman-led offense, Mark Ingram and quarterback Lamar Jackson. Could the Falcons actually trot out 2 1,000-yard running backs, seen as, you know, one complements the other, you know, the thunder to the lightning, so to say, back when we had Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman. Yeah, Devontae Freeman. Could you see that reignite back in Atlanta, a tandem like that, and trot out maybe 2 1,000-yard rushers?
Hey, man, the offense would have to be rolling, you know, because remember back then when you had Devontae and Tevin, you also had Julio. You know, you had some other dudes who were taking defenders down the field, and that's what they hope to do. And when you mentioned, you know, Lamar and Mark Ingram, I'm thinking of Mike Vick and Warwick Dunn when they were the first to do it.
So DVD going.
That's right. So, I mean, look, it's possible. I don't think that's the plan. I think they want to throw it more than they have. I think they want to use Rondale Moore some in the run game and in the pass game. Darnell Mooney's going to be their vertical threat, but also a catch and run type threat. So I think they've got a lot of options. We're going to spread the ball around. Again, depending on the opponent, especially once they get in the second game of a division play at the back end of the season. Look, it can happen. And the way it happens is big plays, right? Instead of a 7-yard run, it's a 27-yard run, right? When guys are hitting the explosive plays. I mean, this is why you've got a Raheem Mostert scoring the types of touchdowns that he has, and the guys coming in behind him pushing numbers like they push. So, you know, again, you've got to hit big plays to have 2 1,000-yard rushers as dual running backs, especially in today's game. But trust me, the Falcons would love that. But you know what else they'd have to have? A defense that gets takeaways. They've got to have a good special teams game that gets favorable field position.
And you said that reminds me of an old Buffalo Bills. K-gun offense, strong defense. Do you see this offense more as a K-gun offense or more as a greatest show on turf type offense?
Definitely not K-gun. I don't think they're going to manipulate the clock like the K-gun. You know, where they were like, let's go. Now, look, analytics today does that. If you're behind in a game, teams will try to get a play off before 15 seconds are left on the play clock so they can maybe get another possession, which is what the Patriots did to the Falcons in the 28-3 game.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say either one of those offenses. Again, Zach Robinson comes from that Sean McVay tree. They're not necessarily a hurry-up type of offense because they like to use a lot of pre-snap motion to dictate to defenses where the pre-snap read's going to be, right? Or to position a wide receiver on the flank or in the F spot to block a certain, like, how are they going to adjust? Are they going to come down with a strong side linebacker if we move a wide receiver like Mooney in? Or are they going to be a linebacker there? Maybe that's going to determine where the run's going to go. So, yeah, I just don't think it's going to be a high-tempo offense unless they need to in 2-minute or 4-minute. I think this is going to be more something where you're going to see motions. And I think Pitts is going to be the main motion man, some with Drake London as well. In fact, Raheem Morris told me Drake London is going to be like, you know, the Puka Nacua type of role that you saw with the Rams, who motions a lot, like Puka motions a lot. So
he does.
Yeah, so those are things where I think this is going to be more of a deliberate timing offense, which, mind you, as something they have stolen from the Tom Brady Patriots. If they convert a first down on like second long, or they go to 2nd and 1 on a 9-yard play, then they'll hurry up to the line of scrimmage so the other team can't substitute, but they'll still take their time at the line of scrimmage.
Excellent, man. Chris, do you have anything to ask before we move forward?
Oh, well, as far as going to the question, I feel like in order to have maybe also have 2 1K rushers, that means you're possibly protecting Kirk Cousins a lot by running the ball as well. That's just where my idea comes from, because you have so many weapons. It may be a little tough trying to have 2 guys that rushing over for 1,000 yards, but if you want to protect Kirk Cousins, or if you're not sure about the line, I guess if you just run the ball enough and then get those big gains like you was talking about, it may possibly can happen. But to what you were just saying, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that kind of option. It seems like the ball is going to be in the air a little bit more.
Yeah, and look, one thing, don't discount this offensive line can run block.
No,
we've seen that during the Arthur Smith era. They get mashed now.
1,000.
That right side is no joke, especially in the run game.
Mm-hmm.
So look, there's going to be games where they're going to be able to grind, especially if they get that lead in the second half. They just mash. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Oh man. So today, as I mentioned at the top of the show, OTAs wrapping up, and Torrey McElhaney pulled some quote from a presser from Coach Raheem Morris, where he glowingly spoke about third-year linebacker Troy Anderson, who I think is in a pivotal year coming into this year 3. He's had injury-riddled seasons. Last year, we lost him to the pectoral muscle in his rookie year. He saw some spot starts. We did draft J.D. Bertan in the 5th round out of Notre Dame. But one thing that resounded with me was Troy's communication. He mentioned, and I quote, that he plays next to 2 elite play callers, and Nate Landman and Caden Ellis, but it's nice to hear Troy's voice elevating to their stature. So how pivotal is this year for Troy Anderson, going to his rookie year, a former 2nd round pick back in 2022, 58th overall? How important is this for Troy Anderson to actually etch his name into this defense? He's going back to what he was drafted for. It was a 3-4 defense. So maybe some comfortability and now being more outspoken. Are we set to see a breakout season by a Troy Anderson?
That's up to him, I think. You mentioned Landman, you mentioned Caden Ellis. I mean, those dudes are going to be hard to replace. I mean, Landman, the way he showed up last year in the run game and in the short passing game, I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. The Caden Ellis can just do so much. I mean, he's somebody, if you want to, rush him off the edge, if you want to drop him, he's just got the athleticism to do that. So yeah, I mean, we know Anderson's got the athleticism, right? A converted running back,
right?
He's got some things to do, and he's coming in with a clean slate. He's coming in a defense by Raheem Morris, where Raheem is a very strategic blitzer. He typically doesn't do it out of the gate. Mm-hmm. So, that's where the athleticism can come in. I mean, in his scheme, the inside linebackers are not asked to do a ton, right? You're not like the Rams linebackers and guys like that weren't their Pro Bowlers, right? Their Pro Bowlers were their safeties. Their Pro Bowlers with, of course, Aaron Donald and their edge guys. These guys are supposed to be cleanup men, so you've got to be sound in everything that you do. You've got to get the defense set straight. You've got Jesse Bates on the back end who's communicating with the secondary and things like that as well. So, yeah, I mean, this is a very, very big year for him if he wants to show that he's a guy who can stand out on a staff that's got some of the best defensive coaches in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Right.
Very, very true.
What group on this defense do you think will be counted on the most this year?
That's a good question.
Well, just based on, again, Raheem's history, let's go back to the Bucs. Let's go to Washington. Let's go to his first go-round with Atlanta. And let's go to the Rams. It's a D-line. It's the D-line.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's a D-line that's got to hold its own. Right, they play a 34, but it's more of a 4-man look. Sometimes a 5-man look. When more teams are going to a 5-man look, but it has to hold its own because, like I said, Raheem is a tactical blitzer. He's not Todd Bowles. He's not going to get off the bus blitzing. Raheem is very strategic in when he decides to bring help from the secondary or from the linebacker. So that's where this D line that's where David Onyemata, who I think is a hell of a player, and
oh yeah,
some of those guys. Hopefully, Grady can work himself back, into the rotation. It's where Arnold Ebiketie and these guys are going to have to step up and continue to make plays, because to this date they still don't have anybody necessarily who can win one-on-one, and that is something that is expected out of the scheme. It is expected out of the scheme. And another position that is very huge in the scheme is that star or that nickelback type of position, because depending on the talent of that player is going to be asked to play some outside linebacker principles, some strong safety principles, and some corner principles, right? They're going to be asked to really be a problematic tool. Yeah. So, that's where this defense is going to be fun. It may take some time to get going, but I think on that second and third level, they've got players who will allow them to be creative, because we know AJ Terrell, we know Jesse Bates. They've got to figure out what they're going to do on the opposite corner. But one thing in Raheem's scheme, he's never necessarily had a standout second corner, but they've had really good, fundamentally sound second corners. I mean, I know Falcon fans are like, oh my gosh, he's going to be the number 2. Hey, as long as this guy can come up and hit, and as long as he's a tactical dude who can play the scheme as to where he's not leaving the safety in a bad spot or doing something like that, he does not have to be a Pro Bowl type of player, just as long as he's consistently sound.
Yeah, and that's where Clark Phillips III is really fitting the bill right there. I know Coach Raheem Morris, spoke highly of him and continues to. So, for a lot of the folks out there that are wondering, are we going to trade or are we going to sign a free agent? I think the secondary is going to be what it is right now. Possibly Helms and Bates on the back end with AJ and Clark on the outside, and the nickel being D. Alford, who has done probably one of the better jobs out of all the corners in the Falcons secondary. But moving ahead, and I need to get your thought, and we need to put this finally to bed. Draft night. What thoughts minutes before the Falcons handed in their card at 8? The name Michael Penix is called. I'm sure that you've probably seen a lot of the reaction videos and stuff like that out there. I know a lot of folks were claiming, hey, that's Lateo Latu, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse territory, but we've seen what the Falcons have done. They tripled down on defensive guys in rounds 2 through 3. So that was great, and I'm excited for those guys. But your thoughts at 8, Falcons took Michael Penix. What was your reaction? And do you feel that the Falcons knew or know what's to come with the looming punishment that's coming on that forced their hand to take a quarterback this early in the draft to, minimize the blow potentially next year?
No, I don't think they know what their punishment's going to be. So we'll get that part out of the way. Look, I mean, I was stunned as everybody when they took Michael Penix. Not that he's not worthy of being taken there. I mean, I live on the West Coast, so I saw a lot of, Pac-12 ball games. And man, that dude, preseason, he's going to get a lot of hopes up. That's going to be the danger of all of this, because when they see, the pop in that arm talent is magic.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so when people see him out there in preseason ripping the ball all over the place, and then the second Kirk Cousins has a couple bad series, get Penix in like that.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. But this is where, I think the Falcons did a great job of saying, no, Kirk Cousins is our guy. They're paying him $100 million. He better be their guy. And I think that's what took everyone, including Kirk Cousins, aback some, is they paid him all this money. He moves from Minnesota, where, he was on a very good team under a very great offensive coach, to here. And then all of a sudden they draft his replacement. It's with the 8th overall pick. This isn't Brock Purdy coming in as Mr. Irrelevant. So there's going to be, those internal dynamics that have been worked through. But I'm sure with the reps that they've been getting in OTAs and in minicamp this week, Kirk is probably very confident and secure in himself. And I think that's part of it. But yeah, I was very surprised, just because we know they needed a pass rusher. The one thing is they didn't value one high enough for that number 8 pick. Penix, you've seen the stories about how he just completely blew them away at his workout. And, Raheem told me, he said, look, when he interviewed for the job 3 years ago that he didn't get, that went to Arthur Smith, his pitch was, you better have a succession plan to Matt Ryan. because when he goes, if you get caught, with your pants down, so to speak, you're jammed up. That's the hardest position to fill. And guess what? It happened.
We were jammed up.
It happened. They weren't ready. Starting quarterbacks are hard to come by. So using that thinking, you understand it, especially knowing that just on their value chart, even someone as good as Leatu Latu, who they tried to trade back into the first round,
they tried.
They just liked Penix better. And remember, Kirk is 36. He's coming off the Achilles. And Arthur Blank is like, I just don't want to be put in that position again at that spot. To get a rookie quarterback on that salary, to have salary certainty, even if he's a backup for 2 years. Look, I don't like to say this is what the Packers did with Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. I don't really like that comp because Aaron Rodgers is 4-time MVP, right? But you kind of, now that we're here and we're beyond the shock of it, you kind of understand, okay, I get what they're doing, and maybe they look smarter than all of us 2 years from now.
Kind of what we're praying for. I know that. Yeah, man. February, he said a lot in some of the press conferences at that time. He wouldn't be at the podium if they didn't need a quarterback. He wouldn't be addressing that question. So that kind of was the first Easter egg, so to say, that was dropped as far as where the Falcons potentially could go in April. And then lo and behold, 8th pick, Michael Penix, and the rest is history. We're glad that happened. You brought up a great name in Matt Ryan, and also a succession plan as well. For the folks that follow the Falcons, that quarterback room wasn't as sexy as it is now. And yes, I'm using that term right now. Right now, we completely 180 the dynamic in that room. You go from Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke, Logan Woodside. Now you can say that the Falcons have a top 5, top 10 quarterback room right now as it stands with just Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix. So, Raheem Morris staying true to his guns and actually living by what he preaches. And I, that's commendable of him. And I, respect him 100% for that, because he didn't allow any of the outside noise to dictate his succession plan and where he sees his Falcons going forward. But a guy that's now, he's seen the vision, but a guy that's tied into Raheem Morris, and that's our beloved general manager, Terry Fontenot. How would you assess his tenure thus far with the Falcons? He was hired January of 2021, and another counterpart was hired in that same year by the name of Brad Holmes, who has already received a contract extension by the Lions. Do you see Terry Fontenot in that avenue of receiving a contract extension soon by the Atlanta Falcons? Let's remind the folks, he didn't walk into, a bouquet of roses with the Falcons in the salary cap situation. This man had to roll his sleeves up and get to work. How do you assess Terry Fontenot's job thus far in Atlanta?
I'm glad you pointed that out. I mean, look, first off, even though he's going into his 4th season, I think it's still TBD, right? Because he came in and his first order of business was to clean up the salary cap. So instead of extending Matt Ryan and saying, okay, we're going to ease our cap and this and that allows us to do things. Like, no, we're going to take the cap hit. And then when we trade him, we're going to take an accelerated cap. Remember, Matt Ryan was counting more than $50 million on their cap last year.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
So they had to be strategic. I mean, the one thing that was abundantly clear, though, was Arthur Smith. He worked in conjunction with Arthur Smith, and Arthur Smith clearly had some muscle in the room with some of the decisions that were made. And I don't know if his biceps were bigger than Terry's or not. Let's just say, for lack of a better thing, they worked collaboratively. But especially with the salary constraints that they had. But Terry now, in working with Raheem, and working with Zach Robinson, he's incredibly savvy. He knows, he doesn't just look at a guy as like as a potential starting safety. He looks as a guy, a potential starting safety who knew these new kickoff rules can also help on the coverage teams and things like that. They look at some of the salary stuff that's going on. I mean, all of these things come into play, right? Like, think salary. When Kirk Cousins' deal is up in 2 or 3 years, Michael Penix, they're going to have Penix for at least 1 year on a rookie deal before they have to possibly re-up him and be in a Jordan Love situation if they want to make that type of commitment. So there's all kinds of things at work right here. But I think Terry's done a very good job in terms of not having any acrimonious types of negotiations. But he hasn't had the salary cap space like he has now, like this AJ Terrell, negotiation. David Mulugeta is the agent, right? David Mulugeta gets his guys paid, so we'll see how that works out. But I think that gets taken care of because remember AJ Terrell was drafted when Raheem Morris was still on the staff in Atlanta.
Right, he was.
Right, so they've got history. So I think Terry has done a good job, especially working in the framework and the philosophical ideology of not just his front office or coaching staff, but with Arthur Blank, Rich McKay, Greg Beatles, and the people there who are trying to always have a big picture view of the organization, not just necessarily the Atlanta Falcons.
Right. Steve, I have one thing for you. I don't know if you're big on energy, but me, I'm big on energy. And I want to refer this to AJ Terrell. And you're saying that like how he was on the staff, Raheem was on the staff where AJ was drafted. And Raheem even said himself he liked how AJ played in his rookie season, and he would like him to get back to that. Do you think that AJ could possibly return to his rookie form with the energy of the room being different, with the head coaching, with the coaching staff being around, some familiar faces, but just Raheem with that infectious energy? Can he possibly wheel AJ Terrell back to that Pro Bowl form?
Well, he's probably going to, schematically do some things that play to his strengths. I mean, one thing Raheem Morris does not get enough credit for is the development of great talent. Whether they're a superstar, whether it's a Jalen Ramsey and taking him to the next level, like Jalen Ramsey will tell anyone who will listen that Raheem Morris did things for him that he never thought of, even giving him the vision. You're going to play in the slot. We're going to move you outside sometimes, and eventually you're going to transition to safety. So get your head around that now, right? Wow. And so I think this is something that having Raheem in the room, a guy who's a longtime DB coach, right? He's a secondary type of coach. Again, they've got a great defensive staff. Like you look at the coaches on the defensive staff, they're very good, and a lot of them are secondary oriented, right? So when I look at what he did with the Rams, again, I live in LA, so I see a lot of their games. And how he would have even the backside corner, not your Marcus Peters, who was more of an off-ball zone guy, an off-ball man guy, whereas Jalen Ramsey was, I'm going to get my hands on you, and it's a wrap, right? He looks at their strengths. He looks what they want to do conceptually on their defense. And then he plays to that strength. And it's not just the individual player, right? If he's like, okay, we've got a certain type of safety right here who's very good in support, we're going to leave you on an island, and you got to carry that receiver all the way down the field. Okay, that's how we're going to play this guy. But if we see you got a corner who maybe is more of, okay, I can handle a guy 15 yards in or out, I can leverage him towards a safety coverage, whatever, Raheem is going to do that, right? Raheem is going to tandem guys. He's going to singular, ask guys of things, but he knows AJ Terrell's strengths, and he will play to his strengths. Namely, AJ Terrell will come up and put a hat on somebody. Like Raheem loves corners who will come up and force against the run. Yeah. So, that's going to be part of it.
You're right. Hey, man, I got high hopes. AJ
Terrell is a superstar talent, man. I mean, he's just got to be in a position where his confidence is right. And he's going to have to play, man. Again, we talked about earlier, they don't have a pass rusher that we know of yet that can win one-on-one. So he is going to have to hold up. Teams are going to try them in the secondary and do things to try to get them off their game until they prove otherwise.
For sure.
That's another area, and for some is of a concern. John Abraham, which we talked about before we went on air, our last dog as an edge rusher. The Falcons went on this year. They added Braylon Trice, Brandon Dorless, Rook Oro. Do you see somebody in this Falcons unit now, or just existing like an Arnold Ebiketie, maybe a D'Angelo Malone? We just don't know how they're going to use him. Anybody stepping up to that calling and saying, okay, I'm going to be the lead dog here now on this defense things have to run through me. Do you see anybody on this Falcon staff currently that can elevate this defense to that height?
We'll see. Again, we talked earlier about how Raheem puts the emphasis on the D front, right? That is a huge, huge deal. Like, even though anybody who played alongside Aaron Donald was basically playing beside the Kingmaker, I want you to think about some other guys who didn't, right? Look at the guy that the Rams had last year named Byron Young, who I believe was a third-round draft pick out of Tennessee. I think he ended up having like 8 to 10 sacks. It took him a minute to get going, to figure it out, but that's a development of talent, right? You know, you look at some of the players who have come through under Raheem, and again, his last basis of thing was to have an Aaron Donald next to them. So again, that is the ultimate. You know, he's getting doubled and tripled, so you better learn how to win. But he teaches guys how to win. He always has a very strong D-line coach or an edge, you know, an outside linebacker guy who can really help with the pass rush game. So it's up to those guys, because the scheme is going to allow for them to potentially win. He's going to do things, and that's where some of that strategic blitzing comes in too. Right? That's where last year, when people didn't fear Byron Young or Michael Hoyt, right, they were triple teaming. The Eagles triple teamed Aaron Donald one game, and nobody else was winning. That's where that strategic blitzing comes in. Right? That's where Caden Ellis is going to have to blow through the B gap or blow up through an A gap. You got to do what you got to do, but like we just said, the guys in the back end have to hold up. Right? They can't get cooked if the guys aren't getting there. And so everything has really got to work together, and they haven't had on pads, so we don't know if it will. But that's what I think training camp is going to be a huge, huge part, huge focus is everybody at all three levels playing together.
Anybody you have your eyes on in particular going into training camp?
Anybody who I have my eyes on what side of the ball?
I would say we'll say on the offensive side of the ball.
Kirk Cousins. I mean, I honestly, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, I want to see how healthy he is. I want to see how he manipulates his guys in a huddle, because they have not had a strong presence at quarterback since Matt Ryan, and Matt wasn't the same Matt that we knew. So most of these guys have not had dudes to say, okay, guys, look, we got 3:59 on the clock. We got to go 60 yards. We're going to get this. All right, just don't jump. Like, they have not had that voice in the huddle. Right? That is important. Yep. And I want to see how these guys respond to Kirk. I think they're gonna just absolutely love saying, okay, now it's on me. I got a dude who's going to allow me to do my thing. So, you know, I think that's going to be a huge part. I mean, it sounds obvious. And then on the defensive side, I just got to look at some of these edge guys, be it Trice, be it Ebiketie, be it Malone. I want to see. I got no worries about Onyemata and some of these dudes on the interior. I want to see who's going to be up front, who's going to set the edge. That's number one, who's going to be tough. And they got guys who can do that. But, you know, you look at their division, you better get after the quarterback a little bit, because you got some receivers who can cook you. But you also have some quarterbacks. You also have quarterbacks who are going to give you an opportunity to make a play if you get pressure on it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's going to be key.
Yeah. Flying also under the radar could be second-year edge rusher in Zach Harrison. Came on strong last year, last 4 games. He added bulk to his frame, so the Falcons may be asking him to do a little bit more than what he's accustomed to, possibly that tweener role, that outside guy, inside guy. That's another guy that could potentially break out. You know, play major dividends. You know, you line him up with a guy like Brandon Dorlus, who, you know, in Oregon State played a lot like what Colby Turner did for Oregon. So those are movable pieces on this defense that, you know, could probably spark something early and, you know, just mold some sort of consistency on this defense. But Smitty, we're getting close to this 40-minute mark, and Mr. Steve Wyche, I know that his time is very valuable, and he has other things he has to go to. I want to ask him one more before he goes, but do you have anything to add?
I got you guys. We both of them. Just shoot both barrels. Let's go.
Gotcha. So the term Falcon for life has been used so much by owner Arthur Blank. He used it with Julio Jones. He's used it with Matt Ryan. Is Grady Jarrett gonna be the one and truly only Falcon for life that plays his entire career as an Atlanta Falcon? We know that he's going, I believe, into his final year of his contract, coming off a major knee injury. Do you see him getting at least one more payday by this Falcons, or is that it for good old 97?
Well, I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, I think it'd be great if he could. I think everybody knows how disruptive he can be. And again, Raheem was.
Did he freeze?
Yeah, I have a little bit of technical difficulties going on at the moment, folks. Sorry about that. Steve, hopefully we'll be back in a second.
Purpose.
So,
I promise I didn't do that on purpose.
No, that's all right.
I think it's one of these things where, it depends on how Grady holds up and plays. Raheem has history with him, right? Mm-hmm. Knows how great of a guy he is in the community. He's been their Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. So I think ideally they'd like to, but when push comes to shove, they have to have the best players out there. And if after the season they have an opportunity to go out and get, somebody who they feel is going to be more productive in the scheme and everything else, and they're going to do that. And Grady will still be considered a Falcon, just like Matt Ryan's still considered a Falcon, just like Patrick Kearney's still considered a Falcon.
Yeah. All right.
And guys like that, right? So that's the name of the game.
That's the name of the game.
Amen. But this has been one of the most informative interviews we've done in a while, and we thank you for stopping by. Thank my boy Bryce for putting me out there and giving me the info.
One more thing, Smitty. One more thing.
Okay, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead. Right quick.
And this is the completely last thing. Just for a guy like myself and other people who are watching this podcast and listening to it, we have some guys who are inspired to get into this business, like myself. And we want to know what kind of advice you would have for young guys who want to break into this sports business and be, a sports figure and really make a difference.
Well, one thing you guys have done well here that I always encourage people to do is you listen, right? So you guys may have come in with some scripted questions, but you guys listened to what I said and you took it in the direction that's important, right? So many people want to come in with a list of questions and they may miss something that is said and there's a natural follow-up. And you guys were great with that, right? The fact that you guys have this forum, you've actually got something on tape to make a reel to send off to people, right? Is huge. Right. I would also encourage you to watch things other than sports, right? Watch how network news, how they handle a crisis situation, a natural disaster, normal news, how they deliver it, what they say, things like that. But the key thing is making relationships, right? Mm-hmm. Like going to, job symposiums, doing things, where you can connect with people, because it's all about relationships. I would not be here without people like David Aldridge, longtime NBA guy, who worked with me at the Washington Post, without Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon and those guys lifting me up, like some great editors. Like I would not be here without those guys recommending me back when I was a writer and doing things and putting me into place. My guy, D'Orlando Ledbetter, like these are guys who pulled me along. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So making sure, that your character is as such as to where if I vouch for you, I've got no fear that you go into a workplace and your work ethic is questioned, right? No one's ever going to go into a new job, no matter what it is, and knock it out of the park their first year. You've got to get used to the whole cycle of everything, right?
Right.
You have to get used to relationships with people. But if your work ethic is questioned, sorry, I got no love for you. Like I stuck my neck out for you and you didn't work hard. Yeah. You work from 9 to 5. And this is a big thing I tell people, right? If you work from 9 to 5, you start work at 9. You don't show up at 9, right? And if you're that dude who shows up at 9 from day one, all right, you're already here. Be ready to work at 9, right? When it's 5 o'clock, they'll be walking out the door. You wait till that whistle blows. It's time to clock out, right? You walk out the door at 5:05, and so you always again listen. People like to be listened to. And I think those are huge things. So relationship building, never burning a bridge, and never having your work ethic questioned. But again, you guys doing some magnificent stuff like this. Your questions were insightful. You clearly are delivering to your audience. So now you've got something to show people. Like, this is me doing this. You've got evidence, video resume, right? You've got your look, you've got your persona, right? And that's how you want to be carried. Like, and don't be on Instagram knocking back shots, something like that. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm saying for any young people, because I look at young people's things and I think, okay, I'm a brand ambassador for whatever, and I'm gonna be out here partying. And no, because the people doing the hiring don't want their brand represented that way.
Indeed.
Especially folks who look like us. Right. We have to be more professional. We have to have a character that cannot be questioned in any way, shape, or form. I just appreciate you guys having me on. You guys are fantastic. I'll come on anytime, man. You guys are doing a great job.
Man, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much for your time, man.
I hope we be doing that Super Bowl show the week of the Super Bowl, because
I'm trying to tell you,
got a team to do that. We got a team to get there.
Hey, let me tell you this right now. If Falcons fans are in New Orleans,
yikes!
Saints fans are not gonna be having it.
Oh, there'll be a lot of foolery happening at hotels and these random alarms being pulled at whatever time of the night.
They will not be having it, bro.
Oh no, man.
Hey,
oh no.
Hey, we didn't give them too much gripes when they came down, when they was trying to get down here. They was trying their best to get down here. They was already booking the reservations. I know some people.
Man.
Oh my God.
But Steve, again, we thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule, especially on a Tuesday night. Again, thank you so very much for the valuable, advice that you gave us and talking to us in the fashion that you did. We will love to have you back on sometime down the line. And we'll definitely reach out when that time comes. And we thank you again.
Let's go, and everybody get on that 95 North Falcons talk, because this is where it is at. Well done, fellas. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
God bless, man. Take care, man.
That's Steve Wyche, man. One AJC's finest, man. NFL Network host, journalist. He's the head editor, reporter for NFL Network, and he's been around for a while, man. And always been a great guy, always been honest, true to his point, and y'all seen it there. He always clean cut. Don't take no shortcuts, none of that.
Nope. Don't get it misconstrued, man.
Pharaoh, man. So love the advice he gave. Love it.
Hey, hold on one second, man. We got to shout out Ramelia Sports and RSR, man. Shout out to you. Thank you for tagging the entire show, man. Much love to you and your fan base with the Rams.
Y'all also go check him out on YouTube. He does his thing on YouTube, Ramelia Sports Report. Hopefully we'll work together down the road, man, when the Rams and Falcons have a game. So we'll be shooting his way, man.
Yeah. A couple other things, Smitty, while we're hot and talking about the Rams, the Saints, away games, home games. Let me put you on tap on this, man. Jack Spade and Thomas, man, bring it to you like no other, man. If you want these ultimate fan experiences and collaborations, please make sure you visit on Facebook, the Rise Up Tour. I believe there's some flash sales going on right now. To go ahead and enter. Jack, if you're still watching, please go ahead and invade the comments with all the links possible so these folks can be tapped in, get tapped into this ultimate fan experience. You want to talk about making everlasting friendships and stuff like that, man? Look no further than myself and my brother Deke Ruffin, who lives in California, have been able to link up on some occasions and look forward to during this season. The Rise Up Tour is there for the taking, folks. You don't want to miss out on a grand and spectacular, collaboration. Also want to break the tap, man. Our brothers, man, the Waterboy show who was on last week. That's Playboy Trey and the Magic Cookie man himself, B. Rich, put on a phenomenal outing with the 95 North Sports Machine, man. We definitely thank them for coming on to the show, man. An incredible duo who talk all things Atlanta sports, Hawks, Braves, Falcons, you name it. Just unbelievable content. Please make sure that you go visit the Waterboys on YouTube and drop them a subscription, man. It's free, goddammit.
Free.
Smitty, man, we got this on and popping, man, in less than 50 minutes. Over 200 eyes, man. We want to thank everybody that came through, but we're not parting ways yet without having Chris, talk to the folks, man. Let us know what you're working on, what's up next, and we'll go from there, fam.
I know what he's working on.
Oh, man.
Working on a few things back, some behind the scenes. Definitely are working on a few things behind the scenes, but hey man,
I let it go.
Hey man, the thing about it is, as far as the Atlanta Hawks goes, we got the draft party coming up. I know I'll be heading down there. I believe Smitty will be down there as well. So if you're Hawks fans, saying y'all want to see what the draft going on, we had the number 1 pick. So we definitely plan on being at State Farm Arena. That's in about a couple of weeks or so now. Yeah,
June
so that's 1
2 weeks from today.
Yeah, man. So the 26th, June 26th, 8 p.m. Hawks got their first round pick again for number 1 overall. So that's one thing. Well, we have some more things working behind the scenes. As you know, the past 2 weeks we've been bringing you some great content, bringing you guys like Bob Rathburn, Willie Andrews, Steve Holman, and now like you just seen Steve Wyche. So we're working behind the scenes trying to bring you guys the best content we possibly can. Berto's reaching out to people, Smitty's reaching out to people, and I'm reaching out to people. That's why we the 3-headed monster, yeah. So they calling us the Atlanta Sports Syndicate around here or something. I don't know. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying in the screenies. You know what I'm saying? But
man, don't be spoiling nothing. Don't be spoiling nothing.
Besides all that, though, man. Besides all that, man, though. This is a great show. Thank you guys all for tuning in, man. This is what we mean by when I say, be generational, because it's always time to be, and you can always have more with the vision. So why settle for less? This is what it is right here. Thank you to my brothers for having me on, for bringing me in almost a year ago now. And shoot, man, we just been on fire ever since. And I wouldn't be wanting to have this ride without you fellas, man. So shout out to you two gentlemen and everything that you guys are accomplishing. And we're going to go to the top together, fellas.
Hey, and that's what I'm saying, man. If y'all ain't know, Chris almost at 1,000 subs, man. So y'all please
let's get him up
to
there.
A1 forever, and please hit that subscribe button. He's about 170 away, so he's closer than close. So y'all help him get to that 1,000, man. Also follow him on TikTok because he's always putting out content on TikTok. So Tony Wright, I'll try to make that work, but Mr. Mathis is a coach now, so his time is a little bit more stretched. So that'll be a little bit more tough to get him on. But trust me, I'll try before the season starts.
Right. Playboy Trey. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Oh, Lord, man. But it's Smitty, man. What you got working on? And please let the folks know where they can find you if they don't know by now.
They can find me on Twitter at fatboyslam_21. They can also find me on Smitty Sports Machine on YouTube. Still constantly cranking out videos. My views been down a little bit, but y'all know me. I don't care about that. I'm gonna keep cranking out videos the best I can. And I'm even talking about other topics now. If y'all want a topic to talk about, go look at the one I did earlier about Caden Clark, Stephen A. Smith, and Andrea Clark talked about it. I gave my reaction to it, and I'm gonna just tell y'all. And honestly, they are absolutely right. You have to market a league if you want to get the players paid, and I absolutely think that's what they need to do. Market their players a little bit better. And I know about the women's national team, and she did not get put on the team, but come on, she's a rookie. And all the people that they put on the team, they're vested veterans that have earned their stripes. So at the end of the day, you got to get
got to earn something, dog.
To push, right? You got to earn it.
You got to earn something. Don't get me wrong, phenomenal player. She's going to be probably the face of the league if she continues to grow her game. But you look at that USA list and you tell me who you taking off. That's all I want to know.
Yeah, you can't take nobody. Even though Chelsea Gray hadn't even played this year, still has seniority. And this for my girl Joy in the chat. This is what she get.
Oh,
man, not Joy. Come on, man.
Oh, man. Got some shout out with that
man. Shout out, man.
But if y'all just tuning in, man, please go back to the start of the video when we are done. Please go check out the interview, man. That's my boy Emmanuel, Atlanta Falcons Fandemic, man. Y'all please go check him out on YouTube as well. Like I said, man, we have a lot of up-and-coming content creators for the Atlanta Falcons, more than we've had when I started, and I'm happy to see that because everybody has their own opinion of the Falcons, and everybody gives good insight and good content. So if you run across a Falcons channel, please hit the subscribe button. Please watch the videos, only if it's only 5 to 10 minutes. Just support these young men and young ladies because they're doing their thing just like I try to put in work they do too. But that's Emmanuel from Atlanta Falcons Fandemic. Please go check him out on YouTube. Go ahead, Chris Umberto.
Yes, sir. So, man, again, thank you, everybody. Over 200 eyes on the show this evening, man. Thank you so very much, man. We will give you your Tuesday back. But before we do that, man, this is your boy Berto, your host of the 95 North Falcons Talk Show. Catch me on Thursday, the 13th. I'll be back on Bleach Report. Kind of slow, so to say, but busy behind the scenes still doing research for them. But we'll be back on at 11 a.m. on Bleacher Report this coming Thursday. Again, your boy Berto, your host of the 95 North Falcons Talk Show on YouTube. I'm almost at 2,300 subs, man. 14 away. Man, just, crushing goals as we go along. Thank you to all my subscribers. I truly appreciate everybody, man.
Oh, I don't mean to be rude.
No.
We got somebody.
Berto creeping up on your ass, Schmitty.
I'm sorry, RJ. Our four horsemen, RJ.
There he is.
Life man, plug. He's always supporting us back behind the scenes.
100%.
He drops the news for us to make sure we catch on to it and to do videos on it. So shout out to RGATL for life, man. How could I forget? I apologize, man.
He understands. We love him regardless, man. But yes, man. So we'll give you your Tuesday night back. Thank you so very much for rocking and joining with us, man. Stay tuned, man. We got some more surprises coming up in the very near future. So make sure you tune into that. And we'll just continue to try and deliver the best content we possibly can. It's the off season, but we're going to try and make things happen as we were in season. Until then, we will catch y'all soon. Peace.